Claudia King is recording her dissertation on indigenous masks. A man, Mark, saves her from getting run over by a small truck. She visits a museum. Mark buys a ticket for her. She meets up with Mark, and they strike a conversation. He is into books, while she is into masks. He tells her a quote, something that she absolutely loves. She finds it weird that he pulled out that specific quote. He says he feels like she's 1 year old and 1,000 years old at the same time. She tells him that her dissertation is about reincarnation. He takes her to a room full of masks. He amazingly catches a bottle thrown at her. They talk about the Museum of National History in New York. He says he liked the giant cross-section of dirt with an earthworm in it. Claudia says it was her favorite. He says, "How do you still surprise me?" She asks him his name. He says it's Mark, with a C. She starts laughing. She had a crush on a boy named Mark in 7th grade, spelled with a C. She thinks that the C is sexy. She says her name is Claudia, since he never asked. He asks if he needs some gum, just as a pack of gum falls from a walker by. He continues that he liked to go into the giant canoe in the Museum of Natural History. She liked it too. It was a major childhood fantasy of her. Mark wants to get in the canoe, but she stops him, saying that the guard is right there. He is extremely confident that the guard is not going to look their way. They both get into the canoe. He tries to call the guard, but she pulls him down. She said she dreamt of this, hiding from the guard in the canoe, with a boy. He says was it the other Mark? She asks him if he is tricking her. She asks him his secret. They get out of the canoe, but he forgets his book in there, and she forgets her purse. He tells her his secret. She hasn't met him, but he has met her. He knows everything. He knows that they both are the same, and they both want to be free, inside they're caged. That's why she is fascinated with reincarnation. Another chance to start over. He knows that the most of the guys she's liked were assholes. But she's not attracted to assholes, she is attracted to confidence, and assholes show confidence. He shows her his favorite piece of art. The bird is crushing people beneath its feet. She says it's opposite of that. The raven is saving them, freeing them into the world. She tells him that he is speaking her language, but also freaking her out. She wants to know the truth. He tells her that he doesn't even remember how long he has been working on this date for. He has done all this before, many times. The number is in thousands by now. He is stuck in a time loop. Every time he dies, or go to sleep, he wakes this morning again. For everyone else in the world, this is the first time it has happened. She doesn't believe him. He starts telling her things that are just about to happen. Everything he tells her happens around them. He starts telling her things about her that he wouldn't have known. He says he can do whatever he wants, and after the reset, nothing counts. He is living a life without consequences. But he doesn't want all that, he only wants her. He tells her not to think too much about it, some puzzles are meant to be solved. She says he has had time to practice. She asks him about his watch, which keeps beeping after some time. He tells her that every morning, he set up a bunch of different reminders to remember about the events of the day. He says he's kinda the perfect guy, because he has practiced everything. If he ever makes a mistake, he can go back and try it again. A flashback shows him practicing everything he has done today, like saving her from the truck, in a way that would make her like him. One time, he even got her killed by the truck. But he kept practicing. She thinks that this whole time, he has been tricking her. He says he did it all for her. It then shows them talking in the museum, and him failing to impress her with his jokes. She wants to know why he is doing this. He says because he loves her. She says he doesn't even know her. He may have spent years with her, but she hasn't. They've been together many times. He believes that he is in a time loop, so that him and her can connect. He wants her to love him. She takes all his practice as manipulation and lies. She believes he is taking advantage of her. He wants her to be in love with him. But that's impossible, because she keeps resetting every time. He says what they have is real. Whether he is in a loop or out of it, he wants to spend forever with her. She feels that this whole thing is super messed up. She doesn't feel comfortable at all. He is perplexed, saying that he did everything right this time, but she still won't let him in. He says she's lucky that he's nice. He tells her his name is Mark with a K, but he threw the C in there, so she could talk about her high school crush. She believes this to be manipulation. But he says, once you've lived the same day over 1,000 times, your perspective of good and bad quickly changes. She asks him to stop acting like a creep. He wishes he could show her the effort and the practice that he put into this. She says he wasn't practicing to be with her, He was practicing to do something to her. Just because he was able to get a yes out of her once, doesn't mean it's a yes forever. He says, after today's over, he'll have another try, and then everything happened today, won't matter. He says today has been good, because he never got this far, and gained an insight. He can do anything to her, even kill her, and next day, she'll be here again. She says, what about today's her? Mark will have the day reset, but not her. For her, everything that happens to her, will always stay with her. Mark doesn't want to talk about this anymore. She runs away from him. He catches up to her. He grabs her. But she hits him, and takes his watch. She says this is wrong. He says he'll eventually get over it. He tells her, he's like the puppeteer of the universe, and there's nothing that she can do. He grabs a mask, and puts on his face, and says he's the bad guy. He grabs an ancient sword. She punches him in the face, and then once again. He gives her 2 more punches. Security arrives, and take him away. He threatens her, saying she won't remember what happened, but he will. She gives him another punch. Everything resets next day. The truck arrives, but he doesn't come to save her. The episode ends, with him, following her, into the museum. Like, and subscribe, for more videos like this.